Okay, so there are prayers on my screen. You can repeat with me. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Uttapadakamam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatha Tam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Savagana Dalita Shri Vishakam हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्ते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, welcome to Bhakti Steps. We are continuing from where we left, that is 13th chapter. In the 13th chapter, we finished 8 to 12. All these qualities, so all these qualities we discussed about humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, 20 of them. We went through all the list. This is required for knowledge. Okay, all this is knowledge. Everything else is agyan, not knowledge. Okay. So Arjuna has asked few questions here. Prakriti, nature, Purushaha, who is the enjoyer, the field, the kshetra, the knower of the field, and the knowledge and the object of knowledge. So what all we discussed is the field, the kshetra. This body is a kshetra. It is giving us psychophysical nature. Physically, it has some strengths, it has some weaknesses. Mentally, it has some strengths, it has some weaknesses. Intellectually, it has some strength, it has some weaknesses. Okay, so that combination is given on all three levels. And then the knower of the field, that is the jiva, the soul, who is sitting inside. Where is our picture? Yeah, who's sitting inside and driving this body, which is yantra udhani maya, which has some physical attributes, mental attributes, intellectual attributes. Okay, so it is driving this. The jiva is driving. So he is the knower of the field. There is another knower who is knower of this field, this body, plus all the bodies that are there in the world. Okay. Okay, and then we read about knowledge, the 20 points. Now, what the chapter is going to discuss is more on the Purusha, and that also on the Paramatma. There will be more emphasis on the Paramatma, what it is, how it is. And then the object of knowledge is to connect with the Purusha. So when we connect with the Purusha, what it is called? Yoga. Yoga. So when we do yoga, then we connect with the spiritual Paramatma. Like that it is. Okay. So where are we? 4. Okay. 13. Okay. So we will continue with our reading and discussion. So I will ask some volunteer to read the yellow one. Before that, I will read the translation. I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal, Brahman, the spirit, beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. So Krishna is going to talk something about very, very spiritual, that is called Brahman. Okay, it is beginningless. It doesn't have a start. It is subordinate to Krishna. Okay, it is not independent of Krishna. It is actually subordinate of Krishna. Hmm? And in this world, there is a cause and effect. Okay, it is beyond that, like that. Okay, so let me read this. Now he begins to explain the knowable. First soul and then super soul. By knowledge of the knower, both the soul and the super soul, one can relish the nectar of life. There is no specific date at which the jiva was born. Therefore, it's called beginningless. Okay, beginningless means there is no date. Okay, there is no date for it. There's no history also for the jiva. Okay, a lot of people are joining today. Okay. The Supreme Lord as a super soul is stated in the Vedic literature, Shvetashwara Upanishad, to be the chief knower of the body and the master of the three modes of material nature. So he knows the body, he knows all other bodies, and he knows the three modes of material nature. The Sattvagun, Rajagun, Tamogun. Everything is under his control. The living entities are eternally in the service of the Supreme Lord. This is also confirmed by Lord Chaitanya's teaching. Therefore, the description of Brahman mentioned in this verse is in relation to the individual soul, and the word Brahman is applied to the living entity. It is to be understood that it is Vijnana Brahma as opposed to Ananda Brahma. Ananda Brahma is Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, this word here is Brahman is referring to the individual spirit soul, not to the Supreme Brahman. Okay. Okay. Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads, faces, and he has ears everywhere. In this way, the super soul exists, pervading everything. So here the super soul is being explained. Okay, everywhere his hands are there, legs are there. We say, "Na, God is everywhere." It's like that. He's everywhere. Can someone read the highlighted yellow section? Can someone volunteer?
Hare Krishna.
Go ahead, Mataji.
As the sun exits, diffusing its unlimited rays, so does the super soul or supreme personality of Godhead. He exists in his all pervading form, and in him exists all the individual living entities, beginning from the first good teacher, Brahma, down to the small ants. There are unlimited head, legs, hands, and eyes, and unlimited living entities. All are exiting in and on the spiritual soul. Therefore, the spiritual is sorry. Therefore, the super soul is all pervading. The individual soul, however, cannot say that he has his hand, legs, and eyes everywhere. That is not possible. If he thinks that under
Just wait. So here the difference between super soul and individual soul is there. We had done some here body, soul, super soul. Hmm? So the control of the soul is individual soul is its own body, but the super soul is all the bodies. Okay, we went through this. Sorry. Hmm? Read this section in Bhagavad Gita. Can you read?
in Bhagavad
Go ahead, Malay. Go ahead.
In Bhagavad Gita, Lord says that if anyone offers him a flower or fruit or a little water, he accepts it. If the Lord is far distance away, how can we accept? He accept him. This is omnipotence of the Lord. Even though he is situated in his own abode far away from the earth, He can extend his hand to accept what anyone offers. That is his potency.
Yeah. Okay. At this point, I would like to show you all something. Okay, no, this one. Can you see this picture? Can you see it? Okay. So Krishna, we know he's in Golok Vrindavan. Okay. The Vrindavan that is there in Uttar Pradesh, India, right, is a reflection of the real Vrindavan that is there in the spiritual world. Okay. In the spiritual world, Krishna is there with his gopis, gopas, Nanda Maharaj, everyone, and that is called as Golok Vrindavan. And then there is Mathura Dham, Dwarka Dham, Ayodhya Dham. So he's sitting here and he's having all kinds of pastimes here. Okay, as Lord Ram, he's all kinds of pastime. As Dwarkadish, he's having all kinds of pastime. And then he expands into Narayan, Vishnu, the 10 avatars, many avatars actually. The Kurma, Varaha, Narsimha, Matsya, all these. So they have their Vaikuntha planets. So within Vaikuntha planets, there is Golok Vrindavan. Okay. This whole explanation comes in Brahma Samhita. Then after that, there is Sadashiv who has Kailash. Hmm. Then there is Brahma Jyoti. So this Brahma Jyoti is spiritual, completely spiritual. Okay, here one gets peace. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Okay, the energy of the Lord Lakshmi is not present here. That is Brahma Jyoti. Beyond the Brahma Jyoti is the Karana ocean, Viraja river. It is full of water, unlimited. Okay, you cannot measure it. On that is sitting Mahavishnu. So when you have heard this word Mahavishnu, have you heard this word Mahavishnu?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So this is the Mahavishnu that they are talking about. So he's here, Mahavishnu. From his pores come many, many universes. Thousands of them, millions of them, trillions of them, unlimited. In one universe is where we are staying at present. There are other living entities staying in other universes. Okay. In one universe, we are staying. In that, there is another Vishnu, which is called Garbhodakshai Vishnu. What is it called? Garbhodakshai Vishnu. He expands into Karanadakshai Vishnu, which expands as Paramatma. And through Garbhodakshai Vishnu comes the stem where Brahma is born. And he is the engineer of this world and he creates a 14 planet system. In between, there is Bhuloka. In Bhuloka, there is Earth. And on Earth, we are sitting right now and discussing Bhagavad Gita. So, Krishna is here. There's a long distance, very, very long distance to the earth. Okay. Now he says, I accept flower, I accept food. You know, one may think, how can he accept? He's so far. So that is Krishna's potency, that he's everywhere. He's spread everywhere as Paramatma. So he accepts through that. That is what this chapter is trying to say. This is the omnipotence of the Lord. Even though he is situated in his abode, far, far away from the earth, he can extend his hand to accept whatever of anyone offers. We cannot do that, but the super soul, the Krishna, can do that. Hmm? Okay. Next verse. The super soul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. He is unattached, although he is the maintainer of all living beings. He transcends the modes of nature, and at the same time, he is the master of all modes of material nature. The super soul is the origin of all senses. All senses are under his control. He is the origin of all that. Yet he is without senses. Now, interestingly, we'll go to the chapter. Where are we? What did we read before that? His hands and legs are everywhere. His eyes, face everywhere, right? Ears everywhere. But 15. Yet he is without senses. How is this possible? He has hand, he has legs, he has eyes, everything, and yet he is without senses. Why is it that opposite things are said in very consecutive verses? Can you tell me? What do you think? Does he have senses or he does not have senses?
I think when we say about he accepts, whatever we offer Bhagavad to Krishna, with his eyes also he can accept the offering with his
Yeah.
hands
But here it
also
is said he is without senses.
he can have.
Yeah, he is without senses. See
So
this
all the sense
huh?
in any
He,
way.
what? Sorry.
So eyes can work as a mouth also for Krishna. So
No.
in
Here
in,
it
in
is said
you
he
know
is without senses. Means he has no senses. And in the above one it is says he has hands, legs, eyes, faces, ears. That are senses. So two contradictory things are told.
mm,
See, when any normal reader, right? Any common reader would read Bhagavad Gita and he would come to this verse, 14th and 15th. At first, Krishna is saying he has senses everywhere. Then Krishna is saying he is the origin of all senses. Then he is saying he is without senses. Reading such thing is very confusing. Getting? It is it
yes,
is
yes,
it is
Guru.
it is confusing. So there was this one person in Maharashtra. He was reading the Upanishads. Bhagavad Gita is also Upanishad. He was reading the Upanishad. So there, the explanations are like this only. He has hands, but he doesn't have hands. He is everywhere, but still is in a boat. Then he said, what is right then? Then he wrote a book, and the name of the book was Upanishad Madle Ghotale. If you understand Marathi, you'll understand Ghotala. Ghotala means
Yes, Guru.
Ghotala means big problems. You can think like that. So we need a guru to understand what does this mean, right? We need a guru to understand what this. Without a guru, we cannot understand these things. See, for simple physics, chemistry, mathematics, finance, economics, cooking, anything you take, you always have a teacher or not, right? Yes or no?
Yes, Guru.
Yes, Prabhu.
To even learn a language, you need a teacher. Similarly, for spiritual knowledge, you need a teacher. One may be even an expert in Sanskrit is not enough. One needs a guru who understands the spiritual knowledge. So what does this mean is the see there are these words used, right? Nirvika, um, nirguna, nirgun, nirgun, nirakar. Have you heard these words? Nirgun, nirakar. Have you heard these words? Nirgun, nirakar.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. So Vedas do say that the Brahman is nirgun, nirakar. Now what does the meaning is? The Brahman doesn't have material senses like the way we have it. So he is without material sense. So what senses he has? He has spiritual sense. And that's what Prabhuji was trying to explain. That spiritual sense means any sense can act as any other sense. Through the eyes he can walk, through the mouth he can what? He can see.
He can see.
Yeah. So any sense can do any other activity. That is the nature of the spiritual sense. So when it is said he is without sense, it means he doesn't have material senses. Nirguna, the gunas don't affect him. Nirakar, he doesn't have the material akar. His akar is Satchinananda Vigraha, spiritual in nature. Okay, that's what it means. Okay, get into this. He is unattached, although he is maintainer of all living entities. He transcends the mode of nature, and at the same time, he is master of all the three modes of nature. It's interesting. He's unattached, although he is the maintainer of all living entities. See, if we are maintaining someone, let's say we are maintaining our family, wife, children, we become attached to them, right? We want them to
Yes.
follow what we say, right? Now Krishna is maintaining all living entities, human beings, animals, aquatics, trees, but he's unattached to them. Unattached means he allows their free will. This is a big lesson for parents. How to be unattached to children? If I ask you what is the mantra, or let's say what is the tip of how to be unattached to the children, can you tell me?
We should leave them on their free will at after certain age.
Huh. So what do you think? Which age? What?
Till they
After 12
understand
years
what
of
is right,
age.
what is
Okay. Okay. So Chanakya, he has given us a very nice guideline. Okay. And we can follow this guideline. 1 to 5, 5 to 15, 15 to 15 plus. So he divides it into 3. 1 to 5 give unconditional love. Here the child is like a baby till 5 years old. Give unconditional love. What they want, give it. Don't shout at them, just love them. 5 to 15, discipline them with love and sometimes strictness. And sometimes strictness. After 15, what? Be a friend. This is his guideline, Chanakya. So we have to follow this guideline. This is how we become from attached to unattached to our children. This is our journey of becoming attached. Because once the child is born, right, we are very attached, right? My child, you know, mother is attached, father is attached. Yes or no? Weren't you attached when you see your baby? Yes or no? No one was attached?
No, Prabhuji, yes, yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah,
Yes,
my
Prabhuji.
baby, my baby. You know, we so attached we were. I mean, we are already to our children, definitely. But 1 to 5 was like, the golden years. So at that time, we are definitely attached to our child. And it needs that unconditional love. It needs that affection. That 1 to 5. Then from 5, we see that our children start becoming little independent. They don't start listening, right? They make us They make us what? Disappointed. Yes or no? Huh? They
Yes.
start showing
Yes,
their
Guruji.
real nature, which we may not like. So at that point, we should discipline them. Discipline them to our desires, or what? What is the motivation of disciplining them? To our desires? To align with dharma. Okay. Why we are disciplining? We are aligning them with dharma. Okay. That is very important. Not to our own selfish desire. Getting? You understand the difference, right? Sometimes we discipline children because we want them to listen to us. Right? But we should question whether listening to us is aligning with dharma or not. Okay. Sometimes strict parents, they just make their children listen to them, and they torture and abuse their children. Hmm? And they make them beg on the street, or they make them beg, do any stupid thing. That is not discipline. For disciplining them so that they live a very dharmic life. Okay, that is the purpose of disciplining. That is the purpose of unconditional love. Again, unconditional again is to align with dharma. And then from 15, when you have trained your child till the age of 15, then you can be a friend. Then you need not be so much worried, because now you know that I have trained them. Last 15 years I have gone into training my son, my daughter. Now they can take independent decision, and I'll be their friend. Friend means what? If they come to me, ask me, I will help. Hmm? I may give them some advice, and on a friendly way. They may accept it or they may not accept it. That is what is a friend, right? It's not a teacher and student level, it is friend. You can accept a thing, you can need not accept a thing, right? That's a friend. This is what Chanakya says. You got this answer? You got this?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, this is how we move from attachment to detachment to our children. Getting? If you want to be unattached, detached from our children, we have to do all these things. That's what it means. If you don't do this thing now, we don't go through this nishkam karma. Okay? And then we remain attached. He transcends the modes of material nature, and at the same time he is the master of all modes of material nature. Okay. Okay. Someone start reading the yellow section.
Sure, Prabhu.
Go.
The Supreme Lord, although the source of all of the senses of the living entities, doesn't have material senses like they have. Actually, the individual souls have spiritual senses, but in conditioned life, they are covered with the material elements, and therefore the sense activities are exhibited through matter. The Supreme Lord's senses are not so covered. His senses are transcendental and are therefore called nirguna. Guna means the material modes, but his senses are without material covering. It should be understood that his senses are not exactly like ours. Although he is the source of all of our sensory activities, he has his transcendental senses, which are uncontaminated. This is very nicely explained in the
Shvetashvara Upanishad.
Svatara Upanishad 3.19. In the word
Apani pado
Apani
yamano
Pado,
gahita.
the Supreme Personality of Godhead has no hands, which are materially contaminated, but he has his hands and accepts whatever sacrifice is offered to him. That is the distinction between the conditioned soul and the super soul. He has no material eyes, but he has eyes. Otherwise, how could he see? He sees everything, past, present, and future. He lives within the heart of the living being, and he knows what we have done in the past. what we are doing now and what is awaiting us in the future. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. He knows everything, but no one knows him. It is said that the Supreme Lord has no legs like us, but he can travel throughout space because he has material spiritual legs. In other words, the Lord is not impersonal. He has his eyes, legs, hands, and everything else. And because we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, we also have these things. But his hands, legs, eyes, and senses are not contaminated by material nature.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
So yeah, we discussed about it. When the Lord takes avatar, when he comes as an avatar, okay, that time also he is not contaminated by the material nature. Okay, he's completely spiritual. He has his eternal form, he comes through that form, Satchidananda Vigraha. Although we do not see his face, heads, and legs, he has them. And when we are elevated to transcendental situation, we can see the Lord's form. Okay, when we become spiritually perfect now, we can see Lord everywhere. Okay, we can see Krishna everywhere. Due to the material contaminated senses, we cannot see this form. Therefore, the impersonalists who are still materially affected cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the impersonalists, they are interested in Brahmajyoti, and they have not fully purified. Okay, they still have some material desires. Therefore, they don't understand the Supreme Person of Godhead. Therefore, they say that when he comes as an avatar, the material nature is contacting him and overpowering him, something like that. This, which is not right. The Supreme Truth exists outside and inside of all beings and moving and non-moving. Because he is subtle, he is beyond the power of the material senses to see or to know. Although far, far away, he is also near to all. See, another contradiction. He is far, far away, he is also near to all. Can you tell me a situation where someone is far, far away, but he is very near to you? He or she is very near to you. Does this happen in material world?
Through phone, Prabhu.
Okay, through phone. Anything else?
Video call, internet.
Anything else? Let's say there's no phone, no video call. Then,
Prabhuji,
In
the
mind,
person.
Prabhuji.
sorry, what?
Hare Krishna.
In
In
mind,
my,
Mataji said.
In mind, right?
yes, no, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So therefore, in all our Hindi Bollywood movies, these songs are there, na? तुम दूर हो पर तुम मेरे दिल में हो ऐसा ऐसा like that. They keep saying like
Yes.
this. But it is not like that. Okay, when they come together they fight. So that's another story. But Krishna is definitely far far away, but he's also near to us because he's everywhere, he's spread everywhere, and he's there in Golok Vrindavan also. That is an inconceivable potential. Okay, someone read this highlighted section.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can I read?
Go ahead, go ahead.
We cannot see or understand with this material senses. Therefore, in Vedic language, it is said that to understand him, our material mind and senses cannot act. But one who has purified his mind and senses by practicing Krishna consciousness in devotional service can see him constantly. It was confirmed in Brahma Samhita that the devotee who is developed love for the Supreme God can see Him always, without cessation, and it is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 11.54.
So one who has is that he can be seen and understood only by devotional service. Bhaktya tav ananya sakya. So one who is a bhakta can only see Krishna everywhere. Okay. We have the greatest story of Prahlad Maharaj, right? His father couldn't see Krishna everywhere, right? But Prahlad Maharaj could see Krishna everywhere. Yes or no?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So his father didn't understand that. He was thinking my son is little crazy. He sees Narayan everywhere. How is it? Then, in anger he asked, is he in this pillar? And Prahlad Maharaj said, yes, he is in the pillar. And sometimes parents want to, what to say, put fear in their children. So he tried to break the whole pillar. And out came Narayan in the form of Narsimha Bhagavan. Right? So only a bhakta can understand and sorry, he can see Krishna everywhere, okay, without cessation. So Prahlad Maharaj is the example. Although the super soul is appeared to be divided among all beings, he is never divided. He is situated as a one. Although he is the maintainer of every living entity, it is to be understood that he devours and develops all. Now the Paramatma is there. Now Paramatma is in all bodies. Okay, your body, my body, aquatics, terrestrial, ant, snake, everything that you take, fish, everything. The Paramatma is in everywhere. So is it that the Paramatma has divided in all these beings? No. It is the one same Paramatma who has expanded in everything. Hmm? Same Paramatma is there. He is situated as one. Okay. Um, there is an example in the Vedas to explain this. And, I'll try to find. But can somebody read this section?
Sure, Prabhu.
Hmm.
The Lord is situated in everyone's heart as the super soul. Does this mean that he has become divided? No. Actually, he is one. The example is given of the sun of the sun. The sun at the meridian is situated in its place, but if one goes for 5,000 miles in all directions and asks, where is the sun? Everyone will say that it is shining on his head. In the Vedic literature, this example is given to show that. Prabhu, can you scroll on? So that although he is undivided, he is situated as if divided. Also, it is said in Vedic literature that one Vishnu is present everywhere by his omnipotence. Just as the sun appears in many places to many persons, and the Supreme Lord, although the maintainer of every living entity, devours everything at the time of annihilation. Vishnu.
Yeah. Mm, okay. So there is no picture. Okay. You see these spots? Hmm? Can you see these spots?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, Prabhu.
Now let's fill up all the spots with water. Okay? All of it is filled up with water. And let's say it is 12 in the afternoon. The sun is shining brightly. Will you see the reflection of the sun in each and every pot? You go and look into each every pot. Do you see the sun in it?
Yes, yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. Now let's say there are 1,000 pots. In each pot you will see the reflection of the sun. Yes?
Yes, Prabhu.
So does that mean there are 1,000 suns? How many suns are
No,
there?
only one, but reflection is
Yeah.
divided.
See, that's how the Paramatma is explained. There is one, but his reflection is everywhere. Or let's say he has expanded into all beings. It as if sees that there are so many suns, but no, it as if sees that the sun is divided. But no, the sun remains one, right? Getting? Yes or no?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. This is the how the Vedas explain about super soul. That he seems to be divided, but actually it is this one only who has expanded. Just as the sun appears in many places to many persons, but actually it is the same sun only, one sun, right? Similarly, the Paramatma seems to be divided, but actually it is the same Paramatma. Okay, he's the source of light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and unmanifested. He is knowledge and object of knowledge. So okay, he is object of knowledge. Okay, he is the goal of knowledge. He is situated in everyone's heart as Paramatma. Okay, he is situated in everyone's heart. Someone read this section. Can anyone read this section?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. He is situated in everyone's hearts as a supreme controller. The supreme has legs and hands distributed everywhere, and this cannot be said of an individual soul. Therefore, that there are two knower of the field of activity, the individual soul and the super soul must be admitted. One's hands and legs are distributed locally, but Krishna hands and legs are distributed everywhere. This is confirmed in Sevatavatra
Shvetashvara Upanishad.
Upanishad 3.17. Sarvasya Prabhum
Ishanam
Ishanam
Sarvasya Sharanam
Sarvasya
Bharat.
Sarvanam Bharat. That Supreme Personality of Godhead, Supreme Soul, is Prabhu or Master of living entities. Therefore, he is unlimited center of all living entities. So, there is no denying the fact that Supreme Super Soul and the individual souls are always different.
Yes. Thus, the field of activities, the body, the knowledge, and the knowable, have been summarily described by me. So, Krishna has described these three things. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly, and thus they attend to my nature. 19th verse, right? Only my devotees can understand this. Krishna is telling this 19th. Mad Bhakta Eta Vijnana. Only my bhaktas can understand this. Um, So combine these three things: knower, knowledge, process of knowing, is called Vijnana or science of knowledge. Knower, the Jiva; knowledge, we rest through the process of knowing. We went through those 20 points, and knowable, that is the super soul. This is called Vijnana, the science of perfect knowledge can be understood by unalloyed devotees also. Others can understand. Okay. We are trying to skip a lot of things. Okay, someone read this last paragraph, please.
Thus, three items
Okay, Prabhu, you read.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
प्रभु जी वहाँ
process
पे
of
कुछ भी नहीं है.
understanding and
Am I sharing or not?
No.
now I can see, Prabhu.
It is shared, right?
Thus,
It is
yes,
visible,
yes, now
Prabhu.
I can see, Prabhu.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Hmm.
Thus, three items have been described: the field of activity, the body, the process of understanding, and both the soul and the super soul. It is especially described here that only the unalloyed devotees of the Lord can understand these three items clearly. So, for these devotees, Bhagavad Gita is fully useful. It is they who can attain the supreme goal, the nature of the supreme Lord Krishna. In other words, only devotees and not others can understand Bhagavad Gita, and derive the desired results.
Okay. 20. Material nature and the living entity should be understood to be beginningless. Their transformation and the modes of matter are product of the material nature. So now Krishna is talking about material nature and jiva, mostly the material nature. So that is also beginningless. It is there. It has no start. Like that it is. Okay. Their transformation and modes of matter are product of the material nature. So a lot of transformation happens in this material world, right? Volcanoes, earthquakes, a lot of things are transformed, a lot of things are changed, right? The modes of matter, the modes of material nature, sattvagun, rajagun, tamagun, these are all spread out in this material nature, right? So all that contributes, all that constitutes material nature. Okay, read this section.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hmm.
Material nature was absorbed in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mahavishnu, and
Yeah,
when it
see,
was
I
required,
showed you Mahavishnu, right? Like in
yeah,
that diagram. So from the Mahavishnu, all the material worlds come. Okay, we are sitting in one Brahmanda. There are many, many Brahmanda come, and Mahavishnu is sleeping and he's exhaling and inhaling. When he's exhaling, the universes come out from his body. When he's inhaling, the universes go back into his body. Okay, okay, go ahead, Mahavishnu.
and when it was required, it was manifested by the agency of the Mahat Mahatattva. Similarly, the living entities are also in him, and because they are conditioned, they are averse to serving the Supreme Lord. Thus, they are not allowed to enter into the spiritual sky. But with the coming forth of material nature, these living entities are again given a chance to act in the material world and prepare themselves to enter into the spiritual world. That is the mystery of this material creation. Actually, the living entity is originally the spiritual part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, but due to his rebellious nature, he is conditioned within material nature. It really does not matter how these living entities are or superior entities of the Supreme Lord have come in contact with material nature. The Supreme Personality of Godhead knows, however, how and why this actually took place.
Okay, so so, like I said, when he exhales, all the Brahmanda comes out from his body, pores, and each Brahmanda, the Brahma is there and he creates so many living entities are populated, right? All of them, um, they are kind of conditioned because they want to live in this world. Okay, they want to enjoy this material world and all that. So, therefore, Krishna gives an opportunity and they stay in this world. But when the conditioned soul understands that there is only problems in this world, then he starts the process of yoga. By yoga, he connects back to the Supreme and then he gets liberation. He goes back to Vaikuntha planets. So, this aim of this material world is to understand that we have to leave it like that. That is the mystery of the material world. That we have to leave and go back to Vaikuntha planets. Any questions? Any comments? Any questions? Okay. Next, verse number 21. Nature is said to be the cause of all material causes and effects. this material nature. Okay, whereas the living entity is the cause of various sufferings and enjoyments in this world. Can anyone explain this statement to me? How is it possible? Nature is the cause of material cause and effects, while the living entity is the cause of suffering and enjoyment. We are the cause of our suffering and enjoyment. Can you explain how that happens?
Yes, it's all about our karma, Prabhu. You do good, you will get good. You do bad, you get bad. You do bad, you will suffer. You do good, you will enjoy.
Hmm. So it's driven by our desire, right? We want to do this.
Yes,
Yeah. And then
yes, true.
the material nature is just like a rebound. It gives us something, either pious result or impious result. With pious result, we become more happy, and impious result, we become unhappy. Just like children will play a video game. So the video game is like a cause and effect. Hmm? And the child is playing the video game, and by his attempts, he's trying to win, but sometimes he loses, right? And sometimes he wins in the video game. And then the child is carried away by that happiness and by that sadness, right? If the child wins the game, he's jumping up and down, he's going here and there, I won, right? If he becomes sad because he lost, then he will cry, he'll say, oh, I didn't play nicely, right? So like this, we are the cause of our suffering. Getting? Someone read this highlighted section.
हरे
Yes,
कृष्ण
bro.
प्रभु जी, मेरे स्क्रीन में कुछ भी नहीं आ रहा है प्रभु जी.
You log out and join again then.
ओके.
Prabhu, can I continue?
Continue.
The different manifestations of body and senses among the living entities are due to material nature. There are 84 lakh different species of life, and these varieties are creations of the material nature. They arise from the different sensual pleasures of the living entity, who thus desires to live in this body or that. When he is put into different bodies, he enjoys different kinds of happiness and distress. His material happiness and distress are due to his body and not to himself as he is. In his original state, there is no doubt of enjoyment. Therefore, that is his real state. Because of the desire to lord it over material nature, he is in the material world. In the spiritual world, there is no such thing. The spiritual world is pure. But in the material world, everyone is struggling hard to acquire different kinds of pleasures for the body.
Yeah.
According to yeah,
So, in this material world, we are trying to lord it over. Basically, say this is me, mine, I want to control, right? So we go through the struggles of doing that. Yeah, go ahead. According to one's desire.
sure. According to one's desires and activities, material nature places one in various residential
Residential
quarters.
quarters. What is the residential quarter here? What is it trying to say? Which is the residential quarter?
Our body, Prabhu.
Yeah. See, it's a machine also, and sometimes it is called as the residential quarters. See, let's say you go to some city and you go there and you find a five-star hotel and you book a room, right? How will be that experience when you stay in that five-star hotel in that room? How will be the experience?
I think it will be good, Prabhu.
Yeah. Now let's say next time you go to the same city, but then you find that all the hotels are booked. You find some lodge then, and then you book that lodge. How will be your experience?
Yeah, little less or
It will be little
maybe.
less comfortable, right?
Right.
Let's say you go again to that city and then lodge is also booked, hotels also booked, everything is booked. Then you have to stay in some broken down lodge. Then how is the experience?
Little uncomfortable.
Very, very uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
So it is the same city, but it can give three different experiences. Getting? So similarly, we are in this world. It is just that when we go from one residential quarter to another residential quarter, we are just experiencing, right? We are experiencing pleasure, we are experiencing pain. Therefore, what is the solution? What is the solution? Or do we want a
Go back to
solution?
Godhead, Prabhu.
Huh? Sorry?
Going back to Godhead.
Yeah, going back to Godhead is the solution, yes. But then I'm now in a particular residential quarter.
So
What should I do now?
whatever comes to our way, we should feel good, or we should not whether it is good or bad, we should accept that the cause is it is all Krishna's mercy, and then we move forward.
We should not attach with that.
Okay. What does Krishna says? What word does he use? Tolerance. Tatikshava. Right? So we have to tolerate whichever residential quarter right now we are in. But someone may say we have to just tolerate, that's it. No. We have to tolerate and we have to focus on bhakti. If we just tolerate, what is the problem with just tolerating? Beggars also tolerating. Yes or no? What is the problem with that?
Again, you will be stuck in same material ocean.
Yeah,
How we will
exactly.
get out?
Exactly. The thing is, we should tolerate the present situation and be engaged in higher taste, in higher spiritual taste of bhakti. Then what happens is we won't be troubled so much. Okay, trouble will be there, but it won't disturb us so much. Some disturbance will be there, but then because we are tasting higher bhakti, we will be happy, and then our future is also secured, going back to Godhead on the path. It may take few lifetimes, but secured. Getting? So two things we have to do: we have to tolerate also, and we have to engage in bhakti, both at the same time. Does that make sense?
Yes, Prabhu, that makes sense.
Yeah. So when we tell people about the reality of this world, we have to add the pleasure in bhakti also. Okay, and we also have to practice bhakti. Otherwise, just tolerate won't work out. Okay, it will make us sad. So we should have higher taste. We should associate with devotees. We should chant the holy name. We should eat prasadam, serve the deity, and go to visit the holy places, Mathura and Vrindavan and Jagannath Puri and Tirupati and so many. In this way, we'll be experiencing the higher taste, and this will give us the strength to tolerate the problems that we are facing in our present residential quarters. Right? So yeah. Okay. Can Okay, he stopped at here. Okay,
Absolutely.
yeah, just
The
finish this.
being,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. The being himself is the cause of his attaining such residential quarters, and his attendant enjoyment or suffering. Once placed in some particular kind of body, he comes under the control of nature because the body, being matter, acts according to the laws of nature. At that time, the living entity has no power to change that law. Suppose an entity is put into the body of a dog. As soon as he is put into the body of a dog, he must act like a dog. He cannot act otherwise. And if the living entity is put into the body of a hog, then he is forced to eat stool and act like a hog. Similarly, if the living entity is put into the body of a demigod, he must act according to his body. This is the law of nature, but in all circumstances, the super soul is with the individual soul. That is explained in the Vedas. Mukunda Upanishad 3.1.1 as follows. Dva super Suparna Ayuja
Sayuja
Sakya.
Sakhya.
Sakya. The Supreme Lord is so kind upon the living entity that he always accompanies the individual soul, and in all circumstances he is present as the super soul or Paramatma.
Okay. Okay. So we will stop here. Next we will continue with text number 22. Let's open up for some questions. Any questions or any comment anyone has? Any questions, any comments? I don't see any questions.